Sub-Saharan Africa and are set to win £25,000, which is equivalent to 3.3 million shillings. Well, to bring us more on that and talk to us just about what this innovation competition is all about, we have a guest waiting on Skype to be able to bring us up to speed on that. And of course, the question for many Kenyans being just what this means for innovation in Kenya, the fact that there's so much prize money at stake. Well, we have one of the innovators, and I'll ask him to introduce himself and tell us what he had entered for this competition.
Hello, Peter. My name is Kevin. It's been an amazing competition. The Africa Prize is basically a platform to enable engineers or technological innovations to grow and to become even bigger and much better in the market, and especially in the Kenyan sector where we are well known in Africa for our innovative skills.
Well, talk to us a bit about your innovation itself, the fact that you've beaten so many contestants to even come to this point where you have been among those people who have been, well, selected to be one of the finalists who are going to pitch in front of the judges tomorrow.
Yeah, my innovation is called Mobi Water, just short for mobile water. And it is basically a remote water monitoring system that allows you to monitor water levels in tanks and reservoirs in any location in Kenya on your mobile phone. So what we try to do is we try to create a system which is affordable, convenient, and accurate in terms of the data that you can be able to get from it. And it's a system that works offline. So meaning you can be in Nairobi and you're monitoring water tanks in Wajir, in Western Kenya. So even with the recent droughts that we had, this system would have greatly helped to alleviate the challenges and the suffering that a lot of Kenyans had.
Yes, and of course, the question on most people's minds is what sort of difference can innovation like this make in terms of fast cost availability of water? Why would I care that this innovation even exists at this stage?
As you well know, Kenya is categorized as a water-scarce country. You all know Nairobi has a water deficit of about 220 million liters of water. So for most parts of Nairobi, that means there's a lot of water shortages, there's a lot of inconsistent water supply. So most of the time you find residents have to really search for water. So this innovation will help them make sure that they have adequate water in their tanks. And you could be anywhere working on anything and just get a notification on your phone that you're running out of water.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, because personally I come from a water scarce area, that of course is my hometown, and part of what we experience is the fact that despite having rainfall every so often, that of course runs off and we don't collect much. Will this innovation enable people become better in innovating around how they manage their water resources, especially in a rural setting?
Yes, especially for us, what is big for us is trying to get the data on such areas. For example, what you've said is there's a lot of rainfall and a lot of communities having to really look for this water. So one of the projects that we are working on is we're looking at a way to make information available to communities. So what we'll be doing is we will install our systems in different water points, have this data in one central database. And if that, say the mama who wants to access water in the rural area can easily use their SMS or a simple mobile phone, and they can get information on location of water point, and more importantly, the water availability at the water point. So when they wake up in the morning, they don't have to go out in search of water, but rather they can just use their mobile phone and get this kind of information on where they can access water. So yes, it will really help on that.
Yeah, talk to us about the potential of this innovation, especially in the urban setting where, for example, if I'm the caretaker of a block of flats where not everyone has an individual meter, and usually we encounter that there's wasteful usage of water, you can ration water or manage its use by essentially having a central tank which you manage what water comes in and what goes out to the users. Do you think that would work as an application?
Yes, exactly. One of our current users is actually a restaurant in Nairobi. And before they had a system, they frequently ran out of water because they were unable to actually manage their water. But since installing our system at the hotel, the caretaker is actually able to know how much water they have at their tank at any one time. And you're able to get a notification whenever water levels are low. So it actually helps you to ensure that you actually never run out of water.
Well, do you think that this is a system which can be used well, across the board here in places like Nairobi, were we to say that the city council, the city county of Nairobi will adopt such a system and ensure its use, what sort of benefits do you think would accrue to the county from having a system such as this in place?
For example, one of the main advantages of our system, and we can actually proudly say this, is that it's the cheapest water monitoring system that you will get in the African market. And it works basically offline. So you actually do not need the internet to be able to run our systems. It makes it very cost effective and affordable. The other thing is that you're able to get real-time data on locations that do not have water. Say, for example, parts of Eastlands that probably Nairobi Water has pumped water to, they can be able to know, does this water get to the communities? Is there a water shortage in a particular area? So it actually beats the purposes of cartels who cause artificial water shortages, because then they can be able to manage and know we pumped this amount of water to this particular location, yet from our system you can actually see that there's no water in that particular location. So yes, it will really help water utilities such as Nairobi Water.
Mm-hmm. So in essence, what you're saying is that this is a system which can revolutionize or indeed disrupt the way water has been used, has been managed, has been utilized, and indeed has been paid for in a place like Nairobi.
Yes, definitely. Part of our vision for that is to make the current water service models more efficient, more effective by having the accurate data. What actually lacks now is data. So it's very difficult for us to be able to, say, project water demand, project how water is getting to the communities. Say communities have to search for water. For example, in most of our informal settlements, communities, residents still have to wake up in the morning and go to fetch water at community water points. So this is the kind of solution that we want to see. How can our data that we'll be getting from our systems in this water point, how can it improve the service models?
Well, talk to us about the cost and indeed the size of your, innovation. Is it a gadget? Is it an installation? Is it something that is going to take up a lot of space? Give us an idea of what it looks like and what it would cost a person or indeed an organization to put this in place.
I think I'll start off with the size of the system. So basically, it's just a small gadget. We put a water level sensor on top of the tank. And this sensor is able to send, it has a SIM card embedded inside, and it's able to send data towards you program, if it's towards the computer, towards your normal mobile phone, you're able to do that. So it's not bulky. And another thing is it doesn't interfere with your mobile phone. So you won't need to change settings on your mobile phone or anything like that. You'll just receive the data automatically on your mobile phone. In terms of the cost, currently the cost is at 25,000 and it has no running cost. That's the other advantage. So for this 25K, what we're trying to do and what we've been working with the Africa Prize for Engineering Innovation is really trying to get this price down. Because we really want a situation where each and every single Kenyan can actually afford to have our system in their home. This way, if you're at work, you don't need to stress about whether you'll have water in the evening or not. You can just be at work and know your water levels efficiently.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk to us about funding for your company. I'm sure you must have put together a company to push this innovation and try and commercialize it. What has been the success so far? Do you have funding apart from, of course, that from the Africa Engineering Prize mechanism and that organization? Do you have backers already? Or are you looking for some sort of equity?
Currently, we are really trying to work with the Africa Prize for Engineering Innovation. We're also working with Dutch NGO Aqua for All, who've really helped us work through our models, work towards how we can be able to benefit the people at the bottom of the pyramid. In terms of growing a company and scaling, what we're trying to do is we'll be looking for investors. So we'll be doing our first seed round funding and probably by the end of the year. But this is after we're waiting tomorrow, because tomorrow we'll be pitching. So there's a really huge cash prize that is there. And we're really looking forward to putting our best foot forward in terms of that.
Well, depending on what happens when, of course, you do go in front of the judges, what sort of amounts are you looking for? And have you thought of approaching organizations such as the Lions Den show, which we all see here in Nairobi, and the fact that they have been able to fund a lot of people?
In terms of tomorrow, what we're looking to do is we are Kenyan and we have to be proud. So we're not going for any other spot. We're looking for the top spot. So we're looking to clinch that £25,000. And in terms of applying for local competitions, yes, we have been doing that. We haven't yet applied for the Lions Den. We just want to grow internally and build our team internally first, so that when we do apply to the Lions Den, we have a solid team.
What do you think the future holds for you finally as we begin to wrap up the interview? The fact that you are a young Kenyan company with a future that looks really bright, engineering innovation is not something that a lot of Kenyans talk about. We've seen a lot of apps, we've seen a lot of different innovations in the tech space, but there hasn't really been much in terms of water management and engineering from that perspective.
I think in terms of water management, or just basically companies that work in the water sector have been really shy to come out and show themselves. And that's one thing that we would really like to encourage. And that's one thing that I believe that as Mobitech Water Solutions, my startup, we believe that we can be the leading tech water company in Kenya, not just in offering infrastructure or in drilling boreholes or in providing pumps, but in terms of offering the technology to improve the water service models, because water service infrastructure goes very well with service provision. So our work is to provide the data that links the two of them to make them even more efficient. So we're really looking to grow in terms of how we want to manage things.
Well, just before I let you go, I want you to weigh in on the cybersecurity situation here in Kenya, the fact that we've started to see the ransomware attack getting into this country. What do you think many Kenyans need to do to stay ahead of the curve on this one? Very quickly.
I think just as you've said, we need to be able to back up our data offline. That's something that is very, very important. So the more secure we are in terms of how we use our computers, how we use our emails, just opening any attachments that you may find haphazardly, just to be careful on that and to really try and work in terms of monitoring cybersecurity and be up to date with the antivirus.
Mm-hmm. Well, indeed, thank you very much, sir, for your time. They're coming to us live from South Africa. The fact that he's going in front of a battery of judges tomorrow to be able to pitch